Good afternoon everyone, welcome back. So today I am going to start chapter 2 supply under GST. What is supply? What is supply under GST? What is the relevance of term supply under GST? So first we need to understand this, then only we are going to start the chapter. Supply is basically taxable event in GST. What do you mean by taxable event? What is the relevance of taxable event? Let's first discuss this. Taxable event is basically an event which is going to trigger particular any tax law. Let me explain you through examples. In income tax, what is the taxable event? Income. So if you have income tax provision is going to be triggered. No income tax. What is the taxable event in case of excise duty? Manufacturing of goods. Of course, you are not going to manufacture services. So what is the taxable event in excise duty? Manufacturing of goods. So in case of manufacturing of goods, excise duty provision is going to be triggered. And excise duty becomes applicable. Once that goods is manufactured, then it comes for trading. Okay. So what is the taxable event in VAT law? Sale of goods, intrastate. Sale of goods intrastate, then VAT law, respective. Remember what I said to you in chapter 1? That VAT is basically state-wise law. So in case of transaction in Tamil Nadu, seller is in Tamil Nadu, buyer is in Tamil Nadu, then which VAT law is going to be triggered? Tamil Nadu VAT. Okay. So what is the taxable event in VAT? Sale of goods, intrastate. In case it is interstate, from one state to another state, from one union territory to another union territory, then what is going to happen? It is going to be subject to CST. What is the taxable event in service tax? Now service tax is no more basically. So in service tax, taxable event what? Provision of services. Provision of services. So basically taxable event is an event which is going to trigger particular any tax law. Now I said to you that service tax no more, but what about excise duty, VAT, GST? It is still there because petroleum product, and remember 5 petroleum product and alcohol liquor for human consumption, they are still outside the purview of GST. So that's why on alcoholic liquor for human consumption, state excise duty plus VAT becomes applicable. In case of petroleum product, central excise duty plus VAT becomes applicable. Okay, so that's why these laws are still there. Okay, except service tax. Now all the other goods and services are subject to GST. When they are going to be subject to GST? When there is supply. What is supply? Supply is an taxable. Supply is a taxable event in GST. If supply is there, GST is there. No supply, no GST. So taxable event is an event which is going to trigger any particular tax law. In case of GST, what is that? Supply. Supply is there, GST is there. So that's why this chapter is very, very important chapter. So what I am going to cover in this chapter? Section 7, scope of supply. Along with section 7, I am going to cover schedule 1, activities to be treated as supply even if made without consideration. Then schedule 2, activities or transaction to be treated as supply of goods or services. Then schedule 3, activities or transaction which shall be treated neither supply of goods nor a supply of service. Then finally we are going to cover in this chapter section 8, tax liability on composite and mixed supply. So let's start this chapter with section 7, scope of supply. Section 7, scope of supply. Section 7, subsection 1. For the purpose of this act, the expression supply includes. Now I explain you in last chapter what is the relevance of includes or such as term. Now tell me, I would like to know from you, what is the relevance of this term includes in section 7 subsection 1? Can anyone answer? Please answer. How we are going to do the interpretation? Remember, you people are final student, so you should know how to interpret the law. Okay? So tell me the relevance. I am waiting for your answer. I know you people are going to take time to type it. Most of you may be using mobile. So for the purpose of this act, the expression supply includes. Okay. So includes basically these are not exhaustive list. These are examples. Correct? Correct? These are not exhaustive list. Basically, whatever is written, those are not exhaustive. Those are just, you can say, illustration. In fact, if any similar standing term is used, then that is also going to be included. So businessman cannot say no, this term has not been used, so it is not supply, not subject to GST. If it is of similar standing, means similar nature, then it is going to be covered. So section 7 subsection 1, for the purpose of this act, the expression supply includes section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Section 7 subsection 1 clause A, all forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as, now see here, legislator has used the term such as here, correct? So all forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sell, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course of furtherance of business. So let first discuss various terms used in section 7 subsection 1 clause A before we discuss in detail provision of section 7 subsection 1 clause A. All forms of supply of goods or services or both. We already discussed in last chapter definition of goods, services, correct? We have discussed in detail. So goods definition we have discussed. We have discussed services definition under clause 102. Along with goods and services definition, we also have discussed in detail money and securities. So goods definition we already discussed. Okay, services definition also we discussed. Such as I already explained you, like includes. What is the such as relevance? Such as basically when includes or such as is being used, it implies that the term does not restrict itself to those items that are being mentioned in there, and that those items mentioned are just indicative to much broader concept of similar understanding or similar nature. So after that, in section 7 subsection 1 clause A, there are 8 terms used which we have not discussed till now. So we are going to discuss it. So goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal, made or agreed to be made for a consideration. So we have already discussed consideration definition, correct, in last chapter. So I am not going to discuss it again because all these definition we have discussed in detail. In fact, you were not having any question or doubt. Okay, so consideration definition also we discussed. Person, everyone is person, so this definition also we discuss, correct. In the course of furtherance of business, this also we discuss in detail. In fact, business definition, correct, very broad definition, correct. Now what we have not discussed, we have not discussed sell, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal. These 8 terms used in section 7 subsection 1 clause A we have not discussed. So let first understand these terms, then we are going to discuss provision written in section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Sell, you people might be aware about cells. Very normal term. In fact, on daily basis we use this term. So basically when you are going to do the sell, title is going to be transferred. Okay, you are going to do the sales, let's say for any goods, maybe for digital pen, maybe laptop, mobile, anything. So title is going to be transferred. So you are going to go to the shopkeeper, you are going to buy the mobile, you are going to pay the price, consideration, and you are going to get the mobile. What is that transaction called? Sell transaction. In sell transaction, normally title is going to be transferred to the buyer. Okay. Transfer. Now transfer they have also used. Now what is transfer? So if you recollect, in previous chapter I explained one term. What was that term? Distinct person. Distinct person, this we discussed, and I said to you people that in GST fiction has been created. Reliance Industry Limited, although single company under company law, in income tax also single PAN number, but in GST Reliance Industry Limited need to take registration state-wise, correct. Reliance Industry Limited need to take registration statewide in GST law. So Reliance Industry Limited Rajasthan is going to be distinct person for Reliance Industry Limited MP. Although Reliance Industry Limited is one company only with single PAN under income tax law. But in GST fiction has been created. Statewide GST registration need to be taken by Reliance Industry Limited. Correct? That you people might be aware. So these are going to be called distinct person. Now, if we take the practical example, let's say ABC Limited. I am taking one hypothetical example. ABC Limited sell ready-made garment across India. In fact, ABC Limited has shop in entire India. So ABC Limited deal in ready-made garments. They have very big showroom in Hyderabad. They have very big showroom in Hyderabad. They have very big showroom in Hyderabad. They have a smaller showroom in Visakhapatnam. Okay, Visakhapatnam. Don't go by pointer because I know Visakhapatnam is here. But anyway, this map is not for scale. So don't pinpoint that, sir, Visakhapatnam is here or Hyderabad is not here. Anyway, so Hyderabad, ABC Limited has big showroom in Hyderabad and a smaller showroom in Visakhapatnam. Now one particular item, there is a demand in Visakhapatnam, but there is no stock in Visakhapatnam. Okay, there is no stock available in ABC Limited showroom at Visakhapatnam. Okay, but customer is demanding that ready-made garment. Now Hyderabad has that, and this ABC Limited have factory in Gujarat. So from Gujarat it is going to take time and it is going to be costly affair. So Visakhapatnam manager call Hyderabad manager and say, why don't you transfer of this item to us if you have in stock. So Hyderabad guy check and say, yeah, it is there. In fact, we are unable to sell. So Visakhapatnam person say, oh, you are unable to sell, but we have lot of demand here. So why don't you transfer this stock from Hyderabad showroom to Visakhapatnam showroom? Why don't you do the transfer? Why this Visakhapatnam person is using the term transfer here? Because it is same company, ABC Limited is the owner of Hyderabad showroom and Visakhapatnam showroom. Correct? So normally stock transfer is going to happen. Title is going to transfer? Absolutely no. Because ABC Limited is the owner, whether it is Hyderabad inventory or Visakhapatnam inventory. Who is the owner? ABC Limited. Who is the owner of that particular stock or inventory? ABC Limited. So if Hyderabad is transferring to Visakhapatnam, if suppose it is sell, let's say if it is suppose, so ABC Limited to ABC Limited, the answer is absolutely wrong, na? Because the ownership remain the same. So that's why it is going to be called stock transfer, and basically adjustment is going to be done in stock book. But in GST fiction has been created. So that's why they are including the term transfer here. So normally in daily language we are going to say, okay, Hyderabad branch transferring to Visakhapatnam. We are not going to use the term Hyderabad is selling to Visakhapatnam. Because owner of the both showroom remains same, ABC Limited. So transfer. Barter. Previously there was, actually decades ago, there was no currency. So what people used to do? Someone was having crops and other guy was having, let's say, utensil. So crop used to be exchanged with utensil. That utensil guy wanted crop, let's say wheat, and that farmer required utensil. So they used to exchange. This is called what? Barter. In barter there is no money. There is no money exchange. So let me take an example. One day, one student called me. He said to me that, sir, I want IDT classes. I want IDT classes. I don't have money. So if you have any work, please give me that work. So I said to him, okay, March is coming. March is coming. Why don't you file return for me? So I am going to give you IDT classes. You file return for me. So he accepted my proposal. He accepted my proposal. So this is what barter. I am going to give him IDT classes in exchange of his hard work for return filing. So he is going to pay anything? No. I am going to pay anything for his labor? No. Exchange basically, old mobile, you give no old mobile, take new mobile, but you need to pay something extra also, correct? So that is exchange. What is the difference between barter and exchange? In barter, normally there is no money. It is just exchange of goods or services. In case of exchange, apart from barter, there is going to be also money transaction. Old mobile, you give old mobile to shopkeeper, you are going to get the new mobile, but you also need to pay some money, correct? So that is an example of exchange. License. So license is basically the permanent authority is going to grant the license. So example, Microsoft. So Microsoft India Limited normally sell Microsoft Office license. Like we would like to use Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. So we need to buy the license from Microsoft India Limited. So after buying that license, whether we are going to become the owner of Microsoft Office, the answer is no. We are not going to become the owner. Like in sale transaction, we are going to become the owner if we buy something. But in case of license, we are not going to become the owner. So Microsoft India Limited or Microsoft US Limited is going to give permission that you can use their product Microsoft Office for 1 year. So if we are paying, let's say 5,000 rupees, they are going to say, okay, from this date to this date, you can use our Microsoft Office. If suppose we don't pay, and we can also use pirated copy, but that is illegal. That is illegal. So Microsoft Office selling license for Microsoft India selling license of Microsoft Office. By subscribing to license, we are not going to become owner. We are going to get the authorization from them to use that license, to use Microsoft Office product for particular period. Okay. Rental, office on rent, flat on rent. So this term you people are familiar. Lease. MIDC, Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation. There are statewide development corporation. What normally they do? They take over any remote area for industry development, and normally they give to industrialists who would like to, let's say, set up the factory in that area on lease, long term lease, let's say 99 years lease. Correct. In fact, in most of the cities, you are going to get the land on lease. So if you have gone through the balance sheet, there is freehold premises and leasehold premises. Leasehold premises means on the land. It may be on the land which is on lease for, let's say, 99 years. So normally this Industrial Development Corporation of the state, they normally give on lease. maybe 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, but normally they give on long term. Okay. Disposal. So normally we use this term when something is not important for us. So let me take an example. Old newspaper. Whether old newspaper is going to command good value, the answer is no. You may be buying Economic Times on daily basis in 5 rupees, but after one day you can only sell Economic Times in 10 rupees kg, correct? So normally such item worth is very less, then normally we use the term please dispose of this. So in daily life what we do? Please dispose of. So disposal. Something may not be valuable for us, we normally use the term dispose of. So disposal. So disposal is an action or process of getting rid of something. Okay. So these 8 terms have been used in section 7, subsection 1 clause A. Sell, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal. So section 7, subsection 1 clause E. Now let me read it again, the provision. All forms of supply of goods or services of both, such as sell, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course of furtherance of business. So if suppose anyone come to you and request you to tell him whether this is supply or not, whether any particular transaction is subject to GST or not. So what you are going to do? First you are going to see whether that transaction involve goods or services or both. Whether that particular transaction involve goods or services or both? Yes, if answer is yes. Remember GST is on goods or services or both. Correct? GST is on goods and services. So whether that transaction involve goods or services or both? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Then you are going to see what is the type of transaction, what is the nature of transaction, whether it is sell, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal. So out of these 8, if any particular transaction is, let's say, sell, then goods or services of both. So transaction involves goods or services of both, and the transaction is sell, then you are going to see whether consideration is there, because normally such transaction is going to be done by person only, so that's okay. So then we are going to see, after checking whether goods or services of both is there and whether it is sell, transfer, barter, exchange, etc., then we are going to see whether 2 conditions are satisfied or not. What are those 2 conditions? First condition, consideration is there. The answer is yes. Whether it is in the course of furtherance of business, in the course of furtherance of business, we already discussed in previous chapter. Furtherance of business, advancement of business, we discuss also with example that what is the meaning of furtherance of business. Okay, so I am not going to take that again. Ultimately you even don't have any doubt. Okay, so after this we are going to see whether first condition is satisfied, consideration, and if second condition in the course of furtherance of business is also satisfied, then it is supply. So what we are going to see, whether that transaction involve goods or services or both. Okay, the first condition satisfied, let's say this is satisfied, the transaction is related to goods. So whether that transaction is in the nature of sell or transfer or barter or exchange or license or rental or lease or disposal. If the answer is yes, okay, then we are going to see 2 conditions. whether consideration is there, whether business is there in the course of furtherance of business. If both the conditions are satisfied, then it is supply subject to GST. Then it is supply subject to GST. So what are those two conditions? Consideration in the course of furtherance of business. If these two conditions are satisfied, then it is supply subject to GST. Amit Jain selling the classes. Amit Jain selling the IDT classes. Okay. So Amit Jain selling the classes and Charan bought the classes. So transaction is Charan bought Amit Jain IDT classes. So this is the transaction. Now first what we are going to see? We are going to see, okay, whether goods or services or both? Yes, service is there. IDT classes. Okay, so first this one is satisfied. Now what is the transaction? Sell transaction, transfer transaction, or barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal. So it is sell transaction. Okay, good. Person is there. By a person, of course, Amit Jain is a person, and student is also, Charan is also person. So now two conditions we are going to see. Consideration is there. Consideration is there. Yes, consideration is there because Charan is going to pay amount to Amit Jain. Whether it is business of Amit Jain, of course it is the business of Amit Jain in the course of furtherance of business. So whether this is going to be supplied, the answer is yes. Whether this is going to be supplied, the answer is yes. Okay. Example 1. Mr. A buy a car for his personal use and after a year sell it to a car dealer. So what is the transaction? Mr. A buy a car, after using for 1 year he is selling this to car dealer. Mr. A would like to buy new car. Okay, good enough. So what we are going to do? We are going to see whether goods or service or both. Of course, goods, car. Sell transaction is there. Okay, Mr. A is anyway person. Now two conditions we are going to see. Whether consideration, of course Mr. A is selling for consideration. Mr. A is selling for consideration. Whether this is Mr. A business, whether this is Mr. A business, the answer is no. Mr. A bought this car for personal use and after using for 1 year, Mr. A is selling. So this is not Mr. A business. So both the conditions are not satisfied. If both the conditions are not satisfied, then it is not supply, not subject to GST. Okay. But let's say rather than Mr. A, if I replace with modern used car dealer. Now modern used car dealer deal in used car business. So modern used car bought car from Amit Jain, old car from Amit Jain, and now selling it to another person. So modern used car dealer is buying any car and selling it after, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, or maybe 1 year down the line. So whether it is going to be supplied subject to GST. So again, what we are going to do? First we are going to see goods is there. Yes, it is there. Goods or service or both. So car is goods. Transaction is sell transaction. Transaction is sell transaction. Modern used car dealer is company. So person definition include company, LLP, cooperative society. Everything is mostly included in person. So both the conditions are satisfied. Then we are going to check. Consideration is there. In the course of furtherance of business. Of course, this is business of modern used car dealer. It is in the course of business. Not furtherance of business. It is in the course of business. So it is going to be supplied subject to GST. So if we analyze this transaction, car is sold by Mr. A, who is one individual, bought car for 1 year back. He bought the car for personal use, selling after 1 year. So for him, this is not a supply transaction. Why? Because business is missing. Business is missing. But if the same car, let's say, is sold by ABC Limited, which is in the business of used car, then both the conditions are going to be satisfied. Then it is supply subject to GST. But when Mr. A is selling, then it is not supplied. Example 2. Mrs. A sold housewife. Mrs. A is basically housewife. Sold her old gold bangles and earrings to ABC Jewelers. So Mrs. A selling gold bangles and earrings to ABC Jewelers. Whether this is going to be supplied. So goods is there. Gold earrings. Okay. Bangles. So goods is there. Transaction is sell. And Mrs. A is anyway person. Now we are going to see again two conditions. Consideration is there. Yes, it is there. Mrs. A is of course going to charge something from ABC Jewelers. So consideration is there. But whether it is business of Mrs. A, the answer is no. Whether it is business of Mrs. A, the answer is no. So second condition not satisfied. So that's why it is not going to be supplied, not subject to GST. Not subject to GST. Okay. Example 3. Salman Khan, a famous actor, paints some painting and sell them. So Salman Khan doing painting and selling it. Whether it is going to be subject to GST. So painting, selling transaction is also there. Salman Khan is a person. Now we need to see two conditions. We need to see two conditions. First one, consideration is there. Yes, it is there. Salman Khan is selling for money only. Or maybe money. Consideration can be paid in money or in kind. That we already discussed in consideration definition. So Salman Khan is selling for money. So first condition satisfied, money is there. But whether second condition is satisfied, business. Salman Khan is a famous actor. His profession is to do acting. So whether painting is going to be business, let's go back to business definition. In fact, I explain you with this example. Business definition say includes any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager or any other similar activity, whether or not it is for a pecuniary benefit. What is the meaning of pecuniary benefit? Profit motive not important. Okay, good enough. So profit motive not important. So Salman Khan hobby come into picture. So whether business definition includes such type of hobby, the answer is yes. So although Salman Khan profession is acting, so whenever he get time, he does the painting and that painting he sell it. So this is going to be business, business, business. We discussed this. I'm not again going to discuss this. Okay, we already discussed this in detail. So this is business. So both the conditions are satisfied. So Salman Khan selling painting is going to be supplied subject to GST. Okay. Example 4. ABC Limited is engaged in the business of transmission of power across the Maharashtra. Across the Maharashtra. Transmission of power is carried out through the network or transmission line and substation constructed by ABC Limited. It has a market share of 50% transmission network in India. So this is example of in the course of business. Now ABC Limited would like to increase market share. For that purpose, ABC Limited appoint consultant, strategic consultant, and pay, let's say, 1 crore fees to consultant. So ABC Limited target is basically objective is to increase the market share from 50% to 60%. So that's why ABC Limited appoint strategic consultant. So this action of ABC Limited is basically for advancement of business. So this is an example of in the furtherance of business. Okay, I already explained you in previous chapter. So in the course of business means regular activity, furtherance of business, advancement of business. So something undertaken for advancement of the business like advertisement, marketing, etc. Okay. Example 5, we are going to take it later. Before that, I have one question for you people. So you need to answer that question because I should also know whether your concept is clear or not. So mock test for you. CA Amit Jain classes is available at 5,000 rupees. Okay, so Amit Jain normally charge 5,000 rupees for classes. Okay. One student comes and requests Amit Jain to not to charge anything. So Amit Jain sell that class to that student in rupees 1. Nominal consideration. So Amit Jain normally sell the classes in 5,000 rupees. But to that student, Amit Jain sell the classes, same classes in nominal amount 1 rupee. So consideration is very nominal, 1 rupee. Whether this is going to be supply subject to GST, this is my question to you people. Please answer. Please answer with the provision. Okay, just don't answer yes, no, etc. Okay. Because in exam you are not going to get marks only for writing yes or no. You have to explain that why your answer is this. So may not be in detail, but at least in 5-6 words. So I am repeating my question. Amit Jain sell classes, IDT classes for 5,000 rupees. Amit Jain sold one student the same class for nominal consideration 1 rupee. Whether it is going to be supply subject to GST, this is my question. So people are saying, I got three answers. Normally, there is going to be gap when I ask the question and people type the answer because, of course, typing is going to take time. So all the answer is saying basically, okay, I received next answer also. So the answer of the students basically they are of the opinion that it is going to be supply subject to GST. They say business is there, consideration is there. So that's why it is subject to GST. But I don't know why you people are answering this. For me, answer look like wrong. Why? I am telling you there is no sufficient consideration. I sold the classes, IDT classes only for 1 rupee rather than charging 5,000 rupees. So there is no sufficient consideration. So how it can be supplied? How it can be supplied? I think you would not have listened my question carefully. I said to you, nominal consideration of rupees 1 charge. Although it is my business, okay, I sold it, but consideration is only 1 rupee, nominal amount. How it can be supplied? So anyone or the students who have written the answer, whether they would like to now correct the answer? Because according to me, it is not supply. Because there is a nominal consideration. So tell me it is supply or not. Wow, Mr. Mohan, you would like to say that I am wrong? Because still Mohan is saying it is supply. And I am saying it is not supply because there is only nominal amount charged by me, 1 rupee. But Mohan is challenging me. So I think Mohan is wrong. 1 rupees consideration, how it can be supply? Nominal amount. But he is still firm that no, it is supply. Anyone edge? Whether Mohan is correct or I am correct. Remember, I am teaching you, boss, how Mohan can be correct. If I am wrong, then you should not take classes from me. Correct? Oh, then another student also, Charan, he is also saying supply, sir. Now, see. Why don't you people come and teach rather than me teaching? So, absolutely correct. Both of them are correct. Amit Jain is wrong. I said to you people clearly that I am going to confuse you. Don't trust me. Trust the provision. Whatever I explain, trust that. When I am going to ask you question, I am going to misguide you. Only trust provision. Where in this provision section 7 subsection 1 clause A, it is written that consideration should be adequate or sufficient consideration. Whether in definition it is written, whether in definition, whether it is written, have I said to you that consideration should be sufficient or adequate? Not written in consideration definition. If we come back to section 7 subsection 1 clause A, there is nothing written sufficient consideration or adequate consideration. it just say consideration. The provision use term consideration. It is my call to sell that IDT classes in loss of, let's say my cost is 2000 rupees, but I am selling in 1 rupee. So that is as a businessman, that is my call. I may be incurring losses on such transaction, but doesn't matter. There is a consideration. There is a consideration. I am charging 1 rupee, but consideration is there. So that's why it is subject to GST, because in GST provision in CGST Act, Section 7, subsection 1, clause A, does not talk about sufficient or adequate consideration. So we just need to see whether consideration is there or not. Consideration may be in money or may be in kind. The consideration definition itself include in kind. But if suppose I change this example and I say I am giving free to that student. So rather than charging 1 rupee token amount, I am not charging anything. Then whether it is going to be supplied, the answer is no. Service is there. Okay. But consideration is there, the answer is no. In the course of furtherance of business, yes. Because that is my business. But consideration is not there. I am giving it free. So both the conditions are not satisfied. So that's why it is not supplied, not subject to GST. But when I charge 1 rupee, it may not be sufficient consideration, but it is going to be supplied. We don't need to see whether the consideration is sufficient or adequate or not. Okay. So now in section 7 subsection 1 clause A, we discuss 2 conditions, consideration and in the course of furtherance of business. Let's say the second condition is not satisfied. In the course of furtherance of business is not there, but consideration is there. So jump to section 7 subsection 1 clause B. Section 7 subsection 1 clause B, import of services for a consideration whether or not in the course of furtherance of business. So if import of services is there, consideration is there, it may not be in the course of furtherance of business. It is going to be supplied subject to GST. So section 7 subsection 1 clause A say what any transaction need to satisfy 2 conditions, consideration, business. If suppose business is not there, jump to section 7 subsection 1 clause B and see whether that is import of services. If it is import of services, so consideration is there, business is there or not, that become irrelevant. It is going to be supplied subject to GST. So one exception of business is not there, no issue, consideration is there. So this is one exception. What is that exception? Import of services. Amit Jain doing social work. He is not in the teaching job, but teaching few students. Okay, for consideration. But then it may include business. It is not the business, but let's say it is vocation. So then it is subject to GST. Why? It is going to be covered under section 7 subsection 1 clause A. But Amit Jain or Santosa, let's say he is importing services of whom? Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. So Santosa use Facebook, Instagram. Okay, Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. Santosa doesn't pay anything. Santosa use these services basically of social media for what purpose? For entertainment purpose. It is not business of Santosa. So whether this is going to be supplied, the answer is no. Consideration is there? No. In the course of furtherance of business is there? No. So of course both the conditions are not satisfied, not subject to GST. Why? Because it is not supplied. But now let me twist the example. You may have read about Elon Musk after taking over Twitter that he is going to charge for Twitter. So let's say Elon Musk decided to charge $1 for entire year to each of the user. So Elon Musk decided to charge $1 rupees, sorry, $1, not rupees, $1 for Twitter per year per user. So now Twitter is providing you services, correct? Both the conditions are satisfied? The answer is no. You are using the Twitter not for the business purpose, but you are paying consideration $1. So one condition satisfied, another condition of the business not satisfied. So according to section 7 subsection 1 clause A, it is not supplied. But, okay, then if second condition not satisfied, please jump to section 7 subsection 1 clause B. It say import of services. Now let's say Twitter is supplying such services from US. Server is there in US. So Twitter is supplying Twitter services from US. So import of service, you are in India. Import of service, you are paying $1. So consideration is there. Consideration is there. Whether it is your business, the answer is no. So second condition not satisfied, that's why it is not supplied under section 7 subsection 1 clause A, but it is going to be supplied under section 7 subsection 1 clause B. Because you are importing the Twitter services, paying consideration $1 may not be in the course of furtherance of business, but it is going to be supplied. So Facebook is free today. Tomorrow, let's say Facebook decide to charge you only $1 for a year. So then it is going to become supply subject to GST. It means you need to pay the taxage. You may not be using for the business, but you have to pay the taxage. Because business become irrelevant here. Okay. Then let assume that the first condition is not satisfied. First condition is what? We discussed about two conditions. Consideration in the course of furtherance of business. Second condition is in the course of furtherance of business. So let assume that the first condition is not satisfied, means consideration is not there, but it is in the course of furtherance of business. So jump to section 7 subsection 1 clause C. This say the activities specified in schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without a consideration. So if consideration is not there, but that activities is listed in schedule 1. So we are going to see schedule 1 later on. There are 4 activities listed in schedule 1. So even though consideration is not there, those are going to be supply subject to GST. So whatever is listed in schedule 1, we are going to see 4 activities are listed in schedule 1 later on. In next section we are going to see. So those activities are, even though consideration is not there, that is going to be supply subject to GST. So section 7 subsection 1 clause E tell us that boss first you see the goods or services, then 8 terms are used. After that you need to see first condition, consideration. Consideration is adequate or not, that is not required. We don't need to see that whether adequate consideration or sufficient consideration is there or not. Second, business is there or not. So rather than writing entire in the course of furtherance of business, in exam you have to write, but for just explaining you, I am not writing. So if both the conditions are satisfied, then it is going to be supply. Okay, under section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Let assume that if suppose business is not there, then jump to section 7 subsection 1 clause B and see whether it is import of services. If the answer is yes, import of services is there, then it is going to be supply. But if it is not import of services, then it is not going to be supply. Okay, even though consideration may be there, but there is no business. Then if suppose the first condition is not satisfied, then jump to section 7 subsection 1 clause C. This say schedule 1. So in schedule 1 we are going to discuss later, there are 4 activities. So those activities whatever listed in schedule 1, consideration is not there, no issue, but it is in the course of furtherance of business, so that is going to be supply subject to GST. Okay, any doubt? Feel free to ask me any doubt. Remember, you should not have any conceptual gap. Any doubt? The question is, sir, what if we subscribe? What if we subscribe or buy an account of an Indian software or something, whether it is treated as import of supply? Okay, so basically, let me twist the example. Basically, let me change the example. So his question is, let's say Twitter is not US company, maybe Twitter is supplying from India only. So Thomas is in India and Twitter is also an Indian company. So whether it is going to be import of supply. So I think Thomas, you forgot about the definition which we discussed in previous chapter, import of services. So for import of services in previous chapter we discussed in detail. I don't know whether you attended or not. So clause 11 of section 2 of IGST Act 2017. Import of services means the supply of any service where the supplier of service is located outside India. The recipient of service is located in India and the place of supply of service is in India. So when I take the example of Twitter US, then of course supplier is outside India. You are in India and place of supply you are utilizing the services here, so India. So that's why all these three conditions are satisfied and import of service is there. But let's say Twitter US, rather than Twitter US, there is a Twitter India which is going to provide service. Then the first condition is not satisfied. So that's why it is not import of service. Okay. So we need to connect this with your question with definition. Any other doubt? Okay, so look like no other doubt. Now there is one amendment which was carried out last year because of the Supreme Court judgment. Section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Clause double A. Very interesting amendment which was carried out by the central government retrospectively amendment to nullify the judgment of Supreme Court which Supreme Court has given in Calcutta Club Limited. Calcutta Club Limited. So this is basically honorable judgment, basically honorable court given this judgment, okay, for mutuality, doctrine of mutuality. So there is one doctrine called doctrine of mutuality or concept of mutuality. Now what is concept of mutuality? Let's first understand that. Before I explain you why this amendment has been carried out. So if you recollect in business definition, which we discussed in last chapter, business definition, club has been included in the business definition. Okay, so let's interlink first that. So clause 17, subclause E, provision by a club, association, society or any such body. Okay. So let me first explain you through an example. You and me are neighbors. You and me are neighbors. Okay. So in your household as well as in my household, we need what? We need vegetables on daily basis. So you and me, along with, let's say there are other 10 flat owners, we decided that rather than buying vegetables individually, we are going to buy together. What is our objective? To buy together so that we get the discount. Okay, we are going to buy in much lesser rate because we are going to buy in the bulk. So there are 10 household, let's say there are 10 total numbers of household who decided, let's say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Okay, so these 10 household who reside in the same building decide that rather than buying vegetables individually, we are going to buy together. To buy together, what they do? They form one club. XYZ Housing Society, let's say the club name is Housing Society, XYZ Housing Society. which is a society name Vegetable Club. Okay, I'm not giving fancy name, I'm giving normal name. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, those are the 10 household living in the same, residing in the same building. They decide to form the club. What is the objective of that club? That club is going to buy the vegetables and going to distribute to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J according to their requirement. Okay. What is their objective? Their objective is to basically reduce the expenses. Saving, correct? Reducing the expenses, saving. So let's say on one fine day, if A go to the market and buy lady finger, okay, let's say 1 kg, per kg rate is of lady finger is, let's say, 80 rupees. But if club buy that and supply to A, then the rate is 50 rupees because club is going to buy in bulk. So that's why these people form the club, that they are going to save the money. They are going to save the money. Now this club objective is not to make the money. It is just to serve the members of the club, which are these 10 people. What is the objective of the club? Basically to save money for these 10 people. Club is not going to make any money. 50 rupees club bought in 50 rupees lady finger. Club is going to basically provide this to Mr. A in 50 rupees only. So there is no profit and loss. Okay. So this concept is called concept of mutuality, where these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, these people have formed the club so that they can get the benefit because of their mutual interest. And club is not going to make money. So basically when the concept of mutuality come into picture, it was also there in Constitution of India. So Constitution of India basically used to say that previously that these are not separate entities. These are not separate entities. So that's why if suppose it is not separate entities, then club supplying to A for 50 rupees is not going to be supplied, not subject to GST. So government, after introduction of GST, in fact they have carried out an amendment in Constitution of India, but that was not sufficient. So finally in 2021 or 20, Calcutta Club Limited decision came, okay, where Supreme Court said that club association and its member are not distinct person. So I already explained you what is distinct person. So these are not distinct person. So club supplying, basically club selling 50 rupees item, 50 rupees lady finger to A is not supply because they are not distinct person. So without member there is no existence of the club, Supreme Court basically said. Okay, so they are not, club is not distinct person. So that's why according to the Supreme Court judgment, XYZ Housing Society Vegetable Club selling Mr. A lady finger of rupees 50 not supply because Mr. A and XYZ Housing Society Vegetable Club are not distinct person. Okay, so now whatever government did, government was saying it is subject to GST, it is subject to GST. Now because of this judgment, now government came on back foot. Government came on back foot. So if you would have read in income tax Vodafone case, so Vodafone, Supreme Court decided that Vodafone, those Vodafone transaction, okay, between orange and red, that is not subject to income tax. So what government did that time, Congress government was there, they did retrospective amendment in income tax to levy the taxes. So here also, now this become tricky. This became very tricky because Supreme Court judgment came in case of Calcutta Club Limited. So to nullify the judgment, to nullify this judgment, they amended section 7 by inserting section 7 subsection 1 clause AA from retrospective date 1st July 2017, the date on which GST introduced. This say the activities or transaction by a person other than an individual to its members or constitute or vice versa for cash, deferred payment or other valuable consideration is going to be supply, because this is inserted. So this section 7 subsection 1 say for the purpose of this act the expression supply includes the activities or transaction by a person other than an individual. So individual is not included, to its members or constituent or vice versa for cash, deferred payment or other valuable consideration, then it is going to be supply. Then there is a explanation also part of this provision. For the purpose of this clause, it is hereby clarified that notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, or any judgment, decree or order of any court, so because court has already decided, so they have clearly written in the explanation that on any order of any court, which includes Supreme Court, tribunal or authority, the person and his members or constituent shall be deemed to be the two separate person, and the supply of activity or transaction interest shall be deemed to take place from one such person to another. So basically they said कि boss members and the club, they are going to be two separate person, and it is going to be subject to GST because it is supply according to section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Even though if any court had decided opposite of this, so this provision is going to prevail over that court judgment, means Supreme Court judgment of Calcutta Club Limited. So in our example, these are going to be distinct person, and now this club supplying to A is supply according to clause 7 subsection 1 clause AA. So basically to remove all type of ambiguities, government has introduced this clause with retrospective effect. So now club selling it to A becomes supply because of section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. So basically nullifying the concept of mutuality which is written in Constitution of India, because remember Constitution of India is going to prevail over GST law. So they are saying it is they are separate persons or subject to GST, their transaction is going to be supply subject to GST. Okay, so very interesting judgment. But remember, an individual does not fall within the ambit of section 7 subsection 1 clause A. I have highlighted this so that in case when you are going to do the revision, so that time automatically it is going to hit your mind. Okay, so that's why these things are highlighted in the books. Okay, so now section 7 subsection 1, according to clause A, AA, clause B and clause C, we are going to see whether particular transaction or activity is supply or not. Let's say it is supply. Let's say it is a supply according to section 7 subsection 1, maybe because of clause A or AA or B or C. Okay, if it is supply, then what is the next step? Next step is basically section 7 subsection 1A. Section 7 subsection 1A. This say where certain activities or transaction constitute a supply in accordance with the provisions of subsection 1, they shall be treated either as supply of goods or supply of services as referred to in schedule 2. So this basically section 7 subsection 1 is say, okay, according to section 7 subsection 1, maybe because of clause A, AA or B or C, it is supply. Please jump here to section 7 subsection 1A. and classify that supply between supply of goods or supply of services. How you are going to do the classification? According to schedule 2. So apply schedule 2 and classify that supply between supply of goods or supply of services. Why there is a requirement to classify any supply between supply of goods or supply of services? Because GST is on both. So why we need to classify separately? There are separate provisions related to place of supply and time of supply, because services are dynamic in nature, you cannot touch and feel, but goods you can touch and feel, tangible in nature. So that's why there was a requirement of separate provisions related to place of supply and time of supply. So that's why each supply you need to classify between goods or services. How you are going to classify? According to schedule 2. So first you are going to apply section 7 subsection 1 and you are going to see whether any particular transaction is supply or not. Once you finalize that it is supply, then jump to section 7 subsection 1a and classify that supply between supply of goods or supply of services. Okay. Then section 7 subsection 2. This start with notwithstanding. Oh my God, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. What is the relevance of notwithstanding? If suppose in any of the provision or definition, if notwithstanding come, how you are going to interpret? Can anyone answer? Correct. Overriding. So when in any of the provision notwithstanding term has been used, so it is going to override. Okay, it is going to prevail over. So if section 7 subsection 2 is saying notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, so section 7 subsection 2 is going to prevail over section 7 subsection 1. But let's say if it is written notwithstanding anything contained in act, CGST act, so it is going to prevail over entire act provision. So here it is going to prevail over subsection 1. So subsection 1, what is the role of subsection 1? Section 7 is say this is going to be supply. Maybe because of clause A, clause B, clause C or clause AA. Okay, it is supply. We are going to determine whether any particular transaction is supply or not according to section 7 subsection 1. But section 7 subsection 2 say wait. I am going to prevail over section 7 subsection 1 to see my provision. So according to you, that according to section 7 subsection 1 it is supply, but may not be. So see my provision. I am going to prevail over section 7 subsection 1, I am बाप, okay, मैं पिताजी हूं, so whatever I say that is correct. So section 7 subsection 2 is going to prevail over subsection 1. Clause A of section 7 subsection 2, activities or transaction is specified in schedule 3. So whatever is listed, whatever activities or transaction which is listed in schedule 3, it is not going to be supply. So we are going to discuss total 8 para in schedule 3, not in this session, later on. So those 8 transactions or activities, whatever is listed in schedule 3 is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So not subject to GST. So section 7 subsection 2 clause A said activity or transaction specified in schedule 3 shall be treated neither as a supply of goods nor a supply of services. If it is not a supply of goods nor supply of services, GST is on supply of goods or supply of services. If it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, of course it is not subject to GST. So whatever is listed in schedule 3 is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. We are going to discuss in detail schedule 3 later on. Okay, so those activities or transactions listed in schedule 3, neither supply of goods nor supply of services, not subject to GST. Okay, then section 7 subsection 2 clause B, basically this clause empower the government. Such activities or transaction undertaken by the central government, a state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, age may be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council. Council means we have discussed the definition of council. GST council, GST council. So on the recommendation of the council, section 7 subsection 2 clause B empower the government that any activity or transaction which is undertaken by central government, state government or local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, age may be notified by the government. So this provision empower the government to notify whatever they notify, those activities or transaction which is notified by the government, which is undertaken by state government, central government or local authority as a public authority, that is going to be neither as a supply of goods or nor as a supply of services. So of course not subject to GST. Remember, this we need to link with business definition. Business definition clause 17 of section 2 of GST Act 2017. Subclause I say any activity or transaction undertaken by the central government, state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as a public authority is business, because business definition say include this. So it is business, then of course according to section 7 subsection 1 it is going to be supply if government is charging any consideration or let's say any type of service or supply of goods. So it is going to be supply according to section 7 subsection 1. But kintu parantu, according to section 7 subsection 2 clause B, which is basically empowered the government that any activity or transaction undertaken by central government, state government, local authority in which they are engaged as a public authority, which is going to be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council, whatever they notify, those supplies are going to be neither supply of goods nor supply of services. If it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, of course not subject to GST, because GST is on supply of goods or supply of services. So section 7 subsection 2 clause B empower the government. So government has used this empowerment and basically they have notified. They have issued 2 notifications. Okay. What government has been empowered under section 7 subsection 2 clause B of GST. So they have issued 2 notifications. The first notification is basically notification number 14/2017, city rate dated 28 June 2017. Services by way of any activity in relation to a function entrusted to a panchayat under Article 243G of the Constitution or to a municipality under Article 243W of the Constitution. So these services, okay, in relation to a function entrusted to a panchayat, you don't need to remember this article 243G. Just remember panchayat or municipality. Okay. So services by way of any activity in relation to a function entrusted to a panchayat or municipality that is notified by the government under section 7 subsection 2 clause B. So these services are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So of course not subject to GST. Then there is another notification. Notification number 25/2019, Central Tax Rate dated 30th September 2019. This say services by way of grant of alcoholic liquor license against consideration in the form of license fee or application fee or by whatever name it is called. Alcoholic liquor license is permanently outside the purview of GST, isn't it? No. What we discuss in chapter 1, alcoholic liquor for humane consumption is outside the purview of GST. Giving license of alcoholic liquor for humane consumption is not outside the purview of GST. Recollect our discussion in service. What I said to you, going by the service definition, sky is the limit. So of course, giving license for alcoholic liquor is service subject to GST. Alcoholic liquor for humane consumption is outside the purview of GST, but giving license for alcoholic liquor is subject to GST. It is not outside the purview of GST. It is going to be service. Now, what is this license? You would have seen in your city, or maybe if suppose you are from rural area, you would have seen that they written alcoholic liquor contractor or शराब का ठेका in Hindi. So normally the state government, let me take an example. Let's say you would like to open the shop for alcoholic liquor. Can you do that? The answer is no. You cannot sell, you cannot open the alcoholic liquor shop and start selling the alcoholic liquor. You have to take license from the state government, and license does not come free. In fact, for selling of the alcoholic liquor, state government normally auction the license. And trust me, those shopkeepers pay crores of money per year to get the license for each shop. For one shop in cities, you have to pay more than 1 crore as a license fee. So state government big revenue comes from auctioning of such shop. It's very costly affair. So don't think that you can open just like this. So you have to participate in the auction and you have to bid, and the highest bidder is going to get the license of that particular area. So each area wide license is given by the state government. This is not only from the Tamil Nadu government perspective, across India this is happening. Okay, so these state government pocket big money through selling those licenses. Now what was happening in previous service tax law, these license fee collected by, maybe they use the term license fee, or if you see this notification, application fee, or by whatever name it is called. So they can use different name, but basically it is license, giving license. For that they are charging license fee or application fee, or maybe they may be using any other term. That become irrelevant here. So if they are getting this, then according to this notification, such license fee is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, not subject to GST. Basically this is state government revenue. So in service tax law it was subject to service tax. So let's say one license was auctioned by any particular, let's say Andhra Pradesh government, for one particular area. The bid was of 1 crore rupees. Okay, so previously it was inclusive of service tax. So that time service tax law was there. So if we consider service tax, then Andhra Pradesh government, even though the bidder gave bid of 1 crore rupees, this is not going to be entire revenue of Andhra Pradesh, because they have also paid, they need to pay the service tax, correct? So basically, let's say for simplicity, service tax amount is 15 lakh rupees. So Andhra Pradesh government revenue is going to be 85 lakh only, because 15 lakh service tax they need to deposit to central government. Now this was copied paste to GST also. So in GST also, if suppose the same auction is happening, 1 crore Andhra Pradesh government is getting, so 15 lakh inclusive of this is going to be inclusive of GST, because the bidder is going to say I am bidding for total amount. So bidder is going to pay 1 crore inclusive of GST. Let's say 15 lakh is GST amount. So Andhra Pradesh revenue government, the government revenue is only 85 lakh. So this state government is getting lesser amount. So that's why they lobbied behind central government. They lobbied behind central government. And they said, no, you cannot collect GST on that. This is our income. You are reducing our income. Alcohol liquor for human consumption is outside the purview of GST, but through license fee you are earning income. Why should I give you income? So finally, central government also agreed because of the pressure of the state government, various state government, and they issued notification 25/2019 central tax rate dated 30th September 2019 and said service by way of grant of alcohol liquor license against consideration in the form of license fee or application fee or by whatever name it is called, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So after issuance of this notification, basically now Andhra Pradesh state government is going to get entire 1 crore because there is no GST, because it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, so not subject to GST. So section 7 subsection 2 clause B empower the government to issue notification. So government has issued till now 2 notifications. One is related to panchayat, municipality, second one is alcohol liquor license fee or maybe any other term used, but that is also going to be neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So section 7 subsection 2 basically is going to prevail over section 7 subsection 1. So according to section 7 subsection 1, you finalize, you determine that it is supply. Please see section 7 subsection 2. If it is listed in schedule 3, then neither supply of goods nor supply of services, or if it is notified by the government, then it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, not subject to GST. So what we are going to do? First we are going to see section 7 subsection 1. So according to section 7 subsection 1, maybe clause A, double A or B or clause C, whether it is supply or not. So we are going to see, okay, it is supply. Then jump to section 7 subsection 2 and see whether it is part of schedule 3 or whether it is panchayat municipality function interested to them or alcohol liquor license fee. Okay, if these are there, means schedule 3, it is listed in schedule 3, then neither supply of goods nor supply of services, not subject to GST. So we don't need to jump for classification because it is neither goods nor services and GST is on goods or services. If suppose section 7 subsection 2 according to means it is not listed in schedule 3 or neither these are here, then it is supply according to section 7 subsection 1. Then we are going to jump to section 7 subsection 1A and we are going to classify that particular supply into supply of goods or supply of services. How we are going to do it? We are going to do it according to schedule 2. Okay. Now next subsection is very easy. Section 7 subsection 3. Subject to the provision of subsection 1 subsection 1A, to the government may on the recommendation of the council specify by notification the transaction that are to be treated as a supply of goods and not as a supply of services, or a supply of services not as a supply of goods. So basically this section 7 subsection 3 empower the government that on the basis of recommendation of the council, what they can do, they can say it is supply of goods not a supply of service, or it is supply of services not a supply of goods. Let's say according to you and according to schedule 2, classes, Amit Jain's IDT classes is service. So government can notify Amit Jain IDT classes is basically not service, it is supply of goods. So if government notify this, then we are going to treat Amit Jain IDT classes as a supply of goods rather than supply of services. So basically section 7 subsection 3 empower the government that they can notify that particular one transaction is going to be considered as supply of goods, not supply of services, or supply of services, not supply of goods. Okay. So section 7 subsection 1, first we are going to see according to clause A, double A, B and C whether particular transaction is supply or not. If it is supply, then remember section 7 subsection 1A. According to that we are going to classify that supply between supply of goods or supply of services according to schedule 2. But before classification, let's jump to section 7 subsection 2C and check schedule 3 whether there are 8 activities or transactions. So those are there. Okay. So if that is there, then schedule 3 neither supply of goods nor supply of services or panchayat municipality function interested or alcoholic liquor license. So these are neither supply of goods nor supply of services, not subject to GST. And then finally section 7 subsection 3, which basically empower the government that particular transaction they can say this is supply of goods, not supply of services, or this supply of services, not supply of goods. Okay, so this complete section 7 entire discussion. Example 5, import of free services from Google and Facebook without any consideration are not considered as supply. It is important to note that downloading Hollywood movie from foreign website for consideration for personal purpose would be a supply of service, even though same is not in the course of furtherance of business according to section 7 subsection 1 clause P, because it is import of services. So anyway, I have already taken the example, but just this example was left out, so I thought to take it. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay, so look like no doubt. Thank you very much. Bye bye. All the best.